Good morning and welcome to another beginning drawing class. Again today we're going to be doing some puzzles from my Read a Picture puzzle book, volume 1. And so we will begin with the first one on page 4. So hopefully you've been doing a little drawing from time to time. Maybe not every day, but you know, any drawing that you do will just help you along the way, because it's like anything, it takes practice. So and if you're enjoying, I think not only enjoying the drawing process, but also enjoying what you're drawing. That makes a big difference. And for example, one of the things that I've always been interested in is portraits. And so a lot of the early drawing that I did was portraits, because one of the things that you find is that if you're drawing a portrait of somebody, and I'll give you a perfect example, Princess Diana. I had been doing some drawings of Princess Diana, and then all of a sudden there was this accident, and the next thing you know, she's dead. And it's like such a personal thing when you've been looking at somebody's face, even though it was just a photograph, but you get into that person, and all of a sudden she's gone, and the impact that it had on me was much more personal than it would have been somebody else. And so drawing what you enjoy drawing, whether that's portraits or landscapes or whatever, doesn't really matter. It's much more interesting for you if that's something that you're particularly interested in. And so I highly recommend that. But on the other hand, if you challenge yourself by doing things maybe that you're not interested in, for example, let's say the human body is a real challenging one for you, and because of that you don't want to do hands or face or anything, it is to your advantage to try starting simple, just doing a foot or a finger, whatever it takes to get you going. And then once you get past that part that I can't do it, and it's totally different if you take it step by step, a little here, a little there. So anyway, okay, so there's the first part of the puzzle. So the next thing we're going to do is come over to our little critter here. And that's another thing, you know, there are all kinds of critters, and the more that you do a variety, the easier it will be for you to do anything you want. Okay. So the legs here, I'm going to make sure they come off the main part of the body. So that's the other thing when you're doing insects or animals or whatever, really observing different parts of that animal, because that's how you learn. So here again, the back feet or legs, or again coming off the body. Okay, and then okay, and then we have, I hope my pen isn't running out of ink. I've been using this I've had these pens for years and years, but so far they've been good. Okay, we're going to do a little erasing. So in the cartoon section of the paper today, in Frank and Ernest, they had a puzzle just like this, only, I mean, not exactly like this, but it was the same concept. And they had the treble clef with the letter G, the note G, and then they had a knee, somebody's knee, just a part of a leg with the knee, emphasizing on the knee, and then they had a picture of the two of them. And the puzzle, the answer was G, the letter G, genius, genius. Very appropriate, because today in our lesson we're doing, I forgot the black. We are doing a puzzle. So sometimes it's challenging because I like to lean over my work, and yet I sometimes get in the way of the camera. So it's a work in progress. And hopefully the progress that you're making by tuning in and doing a little drawing yourself, you see the improvement, because we've been doing this now for, you know, a few months now, and hopefully, yeah, and we all improve, no matter how long you've been drawing or not drawing. I mean, by doing it, we all improve. And so, okay, so this puzzle reads butterfly, right? Butterfly. So that's still in volume 1. Okay, moving on to, let's see, this one. Okay, I'm gonna, well, it's a new year, and people make resolutions, and maybe one of the resolutions that you made was you wanted to improve your drawing. And so one of the ways you can do that is by doing it. And again, like we were talking about a little earlier, not only doing what you enjoy, because that's easier, but also, let's see, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'll use this one. Doing what you enjoy, because that's easier, but also challenging yourself by doing things that are more challenging to you. And I think you'll find that as you're doing those that are not of interest to you, that your improvement will be in different ways, because things will happen that you didn't expect. For example, what you were maybe a little afraid of, now it's not so much fear, because you've kind of, in a sense, conquered it by facing it. It's almost like life itself, isn't it? You face your fears, and that's how we grow and expand and become something more than we were. So going back, one of the things you do in the beginning that is, I've talked about before, so challenging for me, that when you start drawing, you're drawing lightly, and by drawing lightly here, you really can't see it. So it makes it difficult for me to have to just start with some pen and ink so you can actually see the subject. But during these very challenging times, we're doing the best that we can to provide something, provide a little challenge, a little break from the monotony of being locked down. But fortunately now, with things beginning to open up a little bit, there's hope that, and with the introduction of some vaccines and things, we're hopeful that in the not too distant future, we will have what we need to get back to some kind of normal life. But on the other hand, having to adjust to this whole thing, I think, has been good in some ways, if you can look at it that way. Being able to do what you have to do to survive, right? I mean, a lot of people don't want to wear masks or don't want to stay physically distanced, or so that has made it challenging for everybody. Okay, so as we get rid of any pencil marks here, let's see here. Let's see here. So it's a good idea, as I've mentioned before, to use scratch paper to, if you're not sure, there's, for example, in this new set I was telling you about last time, there's several browns. So you can look at it, and depending on the quality, I have another set that I was using, not in these lessons, but just at home. And you just cannot tell from the outside color of the pencil itself, you know, the wooden part, or even the lead itself, the color, you just can't tell what color it is. And you know, it was an inexpensive set that I bought years ago because it had, I don't know, maybe 75 pencils of both color pencils, regular pencils, and watercolor pencils. So I wanted to try watercolor pencils, but I mean, the whole set was only $20 from Barnes & Noble, but it's a perfect example of, you know, that set that I just bought recently that I'm using right here now costs $30 for 36 colors only, but, and the other set was $20 for what, 75 or something. And yet these are just so much better. When you look at the color, that's the color you're going to get. So what I'm trying to say in the end is it pays to buy quality. Now, depending on your situation, maybe you just don't have the money, but I find that when you're dealing with quality, I'd rather have a few really good ones as opposed to a whole bunch of ones that aren't very good. So that's a decision that you have to make, but for me, that's quality is pretty hard to beat, you know, in the same way in clothing. I spent time in men's clothing, for example, at Nordstrom's and a bunch of different places, and I've had sweaters and things that I bought from Nordstrom's, like an Oli Cassini. I remember when I was a very young man, I had for 20 years. I mean, it never wore out, and I loved it. It was just such a beautiful design and warm for this climate. So quality pays. I mean, you pay more for it, but it lasts so much longer, and so in the end, there's where a lot of the value is. Not only does it look nice a lot longer, but you get to wear it a lot longer. And if it's something that you really like, you know, it's pretty hard to put a value on it. So, quality. And so when we're talking about artwork, it's the same thing. It's the quality of your work has a lot to do with, first of all, how you feel about it, showing it to somebody, or just enjoying it yourself. Okay, so there it is, and what we have is, of course, apple pie. So again, this was originally, I did this originally for kids before they learned how to read, you know, so it's like a puzzle, and at the same time, it gives you opportunity to have some fun, but as a young kid, before you learn how to read, you can feel like you're reading, because you know, kids know what things are. So, okay, as we move on to the next one, okay, I guess it would be a good idea to turn the page here and find yeah. So when I did these, and this is why I thought they would be a good beginning class, because you know, I did them because they're for a children's book, I did them in kind of a simple manner, and that makes it you know, very good for a beginning drawing class, because you're not talking about something that's so sophisticated or challenging or Right, so here we have a pooch. All right. Using my scratch pad to clean up my eraser. It just makes erasing that much easier because you don't have all that smudging from the other pencil marks. Just makes sense. Okay, then looks like I used this one, but that So Kate took pictures of the actual pages from my books. So I was trying to use a similar color for the pooch. So we're just going to add a little color here. We don't need to make it too dark. Just get the idea, and depending on who you are and how much color you want, that's artistic license, right? You do what you want to do. I just want to get the idea out here so we can cover as much ground as we can in the time that we have here. So, and as I've talked about before, when you have a beveled edge on your pencil, it's a lot easier to blend your colors. And here again, now this is the Prismacolor, which is the same as the ones that I had for many years, but this is the soft core, and I find it to be so nice the way that the color lays on because of the soft core, which the core being the color itself. And so and a little anyway, so you get the idea. So there is. And then we will move over to here. Now I just changed this a little bit. I made this front view. We've done 3/4 views in the past, and even though that's what I have in my book here, I thought we'd do a little different one this time. So, have a little thickness here. See how I'm sliding down? That's how you can draw a straight line and make it continuous, because once you've got things going the way you want, you just slide your hand down. So in the beginning, if you were with me in the beginning, if you'll recall, we just drew straight lines. That's one way that you feel comfortable drawing straight lines, is you draw straight lines. Yeah. So we got a little chimney here, and we're going to, so again, the simplicity of this book, this puzzle book, is basically just to get the idea across for the puzzle, for the kids. So, I'm just going to finish up here with a and then here curbstones, kind of little walkway like, and you can even make a little tree over here. I think I did, but you can if you want. We're just going to do a simple okay, again, just to get that concept out, get it, see how we're doing for time here. Okay, the other thing is too, you want to hold your paper flat. This is pretty good paper. It doesn't crumble up real easy, but can, just like any. So by holding it down while you're erasing. Yeah. Okay, so well, I'm going to go with so basically we just want to add a little color here to make it more interesting. I put a big window up on top here just to make it a little more interesting. So I'm sure you've already figured out that this is the doghouse. And hopefully you're not in it, right? Yes, we all end up there from time to time, don't we? Let's see here. Okay, that's that, and then I think I'm going to use a light brown here. Yeah. So, getting back to what people like to draw, some people really like architecture, buildings and things of that nature, where other people like landscape and other people like people or seascapes. So each one has its own challenges. I mean, you can imagine seascapes, for example. See these beautiful paintings of ships, and you know, when I was down at the Maritime Museum for nearly 3 years, got to go out on the water on some of those old sailing ships. It was really a wonderful experience. But to think about painting the sea, and then the sky, and then the ships, it's just, you know, really quite a challenge. So it's up to you what you enjoy doing. So hopefully you'll do as much of what you like as anything else. So I'm just going to kind of finish up here with, let's see, is that too blue? Yeah, I guess I'll just use this one again. And then I want to finish up with okay, so doghouse. And then the last one is okay, we need to go back to this one. Okay, and we will let's see, the only thing I don't have here, oh I see, let's do now, eyes are fascinating. I mean, there's just so much that you can do with them. Do want to, let's see what that looks like. So I'm just going to add a little skin color here, which I didn't have in the original, but I think that just sets it off very nicely there. Okay, so obviously that is an eye. Now some people, I had to figure out a way to get the rest of this, and with things changing so much, the question was, would they know what this is? But I had to figure out a way to come up with the answer here, so This is what I came up with. You know, hindsight is 20/20. Don't always have that luxury. Okay, there's that, and then okay. Then finally, so I don't know if we're running out of time here or not, so before I put the color on here, I will simply say this is an iPhone. Let's see what color this is here. Yeah, I kind of like this. So with all the smartphones and things, the old-fashioned landlines, a lot of kids don't even know what they are anymore, but it's part of their edumacation, right? Yeah. So, as we finish up here our lesson for the day, I hope that you will continue drawing and expanding your interest in the things that you want to learn to draw. So, sometimes it's just jump right in. You know, you need to get over the intimidation factor or the fear factor or whatever you want to call it. You know, we all have areas that we feel comfortable with and areas that we don't feel comfortable with. So the sooner that you deal with those areas that you're not real comfortable with, the quicker you can move on and expand in your ability to create more and more of what you really want, because you're not hindered by anything, not hindered by things that you haven't done before. That's how you learn, by doing something new. Anyway, so that's an iPhone. It doesn't look like an iPhone, but it's in the puzzle book, that's what it is. So anyway, hopefully you got something out of this. So thank you for tuning in, and hopefully see you next time. So happy drawing.